Hello and welcome to the F1 News Zone, the show we round up all the biggest stories in Formula 1 right now. We are currently in the Austrian Grand Prix weekend, so let's dive into the biggest stories going around the paddock this weekend in Spielberg. This week, Oscar Piastri may not want McLaren's latest upgrade package on his car. Lewis Hamilton has said that F1's growing popularity is fueling hatred online on F1 social media, and Robert Kubica has silenced his critics by winning the 24 Hours of Le Mans almost 15 years on from his near fatal crash in rallying. All that plus a whole lot more is coming up in today's show, guys, and if you watch it on YouTube, skip to the timestamps in the video description to watch the story that you are most interested in. So without further delay, without further ado, let's dive in. Online abuse is a massive problem in today's society. Cyberbullying, trolling, the most horrific things get sent by the keyboard warriors that cowardly hide behind their computer screens. I see it on a daily basis. I am off of pretty much most social media these days for that exact reason. I can't hack it. I don't want to see it, even when it's not involving me. It just makes me sad. Doesn't really help my mental health. And I know that is very similar for a lot of people, particularly those who are of course the subjects of these online abusers. Now of course we have seen some horrific things being said recently by fans of a certain driver. I am not wanting to associate the fans with that driver. I just think these people are idiots that are saying these horrific things. Of course, I am talking about the fans of Franco Colapinto, who a small minority, I'm not saying all Franco fans are actually like this. I know they're not. A lot of you guys are in my comments on YouTube. I really appreciate your support, but I know there is a very vocal, very small minority that just take things too far and have said horrific things about Mick Doohan, Jack Doohan, Yuki Tsunoda, among others. And we've seen it in IndyCar as well, where of course Canapino's fans did a similar thing as well, issuing death threats out to other drivers who were perceived to have wronged their man, and there was a lead reason why actually he left IndyCar as a result. So it really does not help anybody, including the driver that they are pretending to support. Now, Sir Lewis Hamilton has been very vocal about a lot of issues in motorsport, not least of course racism and sexism. Now he's also spoke out about online abuse in general and said that the increased popularity of Formula 1 these days has attracted more idiots, more keyboard warriors, trolls, whatever you want to call them, losers. Let's be real here, guys, losers to the sport who have just got only intentions for causing havoc and being a problem. Anyway, that's my kind of mini rant there about that. I'll read out this article here on the F1Chronicle.com, guys, and then we'll talk about it after it as well. Just give some more of my thoughts on it, because at the end of the day, it has to be stamped out. There's something that has to be done, but what can you do? What can you do? It's such a difficult issue. Anyway, let's have a look at this. Lewis Hamilton has spoken about the growing issue of online abuse in Formula 1, saying the sport's increased popularity has brought added intensity and new challenges for today's drivers. Several drivers, including Jack Doohan, Yuki Tsunoda and Formula 2's Alex Dunn, have been subjected to online abuse in 2025 alone. Speaking on the topic, Hamilton pointed to how much the environment has changed since his own Formula 1 debut in 2007. The times have changed. I would say the racing space has probably got a lot busier with the fame of the sport, so it's probably more intense. Maybe the media is more reactive. Maybe. You've got social media presence and online abuse that we didn't have when I got into the sport. It's been pretty amazing to see how mature the young drivers that have come in, the young men that have come in, have adapted and how they've carried the weight, because it's no easy situation to be thrown into. When I got there, it felt like being thrown into the deep end without having the skills to keep yourself afloat. But there wasn't the online stuff that you could see, and that's significant. There are probably even more demands on the drivers today outside of the car than ever before. The issue gained further attention when Doohan was dropped by Alpine for the Emilia-Romagna Grand Prix and replaced by Franco Colapinto, who crashed out in qualifying. A manipulated screenshot of a message from Doohan's father, Mick, circulated online, showing Colapinto crashing with the caption, "Very impressive," and laughing emojis. Doan responded on social media writing, "Please stop harassing my family. I didn't think it would have got to this point." Tsunoda, who had an incident with Colapinto during a practice session, also received online abuse. "It's good that they have energy, but just control it. And I feel like they can use that energy in the right way and in a much better way," he said. If it still continues and it's getting worse and worse for sure, at some point F1 should say something. Colapinto called for calm among his supporters. "There is a lot of hate on social media, and that's what I would think." So of course we always try and want for all the drivers to keep it respectful and keep it calm there. Hamilton's comments reflect a growing concern in Formula 1 as the sport deals with expanding global following and the more toxic elements of online fan culture. And let's be real here, guys, this is not something that is exclusive to Formula 1, it is not something that's exclusive to motorsport, it is not something that is exclusive to sport. It is something that we see in a lot of different circles of the world online. It's just a fact. I see it on my videos, I see it in the comments, I see it on other people's videos as well. Sometimes it's relatively harmless, it's relatively benign, but sometimes people take it way, way too far. And it's horrible to read, and it's horrific, but it's like, what can you do? These cowards just hide behind a profile picture that's not of them, a name that is not of them. How do you track it? How do you punish these people for doing what they do? And if you don't punish them, they'll keep doing it. You can block the account, you can delete the account, but they'll just make another one. It's easy for them. These people live just to cause hatred, just to spit vitriol at people, and it has to stop. But it won't. It won't. People will always do it. When you empower people by allowing them access to the internet, there's some people out there that just want to go out and just spout hate. It's horrific. And it's not just Colapinto's fans. Let me just make this clear. It's not all of Colapinto's fans. It's a small minority of them. And it's not just his fans either. You see it all the time. There's some real idiots that support Hamilton. There's some idiots that support Verstappen. Idiots that support Lando. Every Formula 1 driver has. I'm sure there's some idiots that support Nico Hülkenberg and Gabriel Bortoleto at Sauber. I'm sure there are. Every country has them. Every driver has them. We see it in sports all the time. The amount of idiots that follow football and say the most horrific things online. The amount of people that... I mean, look at what happened in tennis. Very much a tangent here. But look at what happened in tennis with Raducanu. There's some stalker trying to get tickets to Wimbledon to see her. Thankfully, got spotted and flagged and blocked. But this, honestly, it's horrific what's going on right now. And it feels like it's just getting worse with this stuff. People are just getting braver with this stuff. I don't know why. It's a problem in society in general. It really, really is. But Formula 1, sadly, is not immune to it. And it's just, for me, it's a simple thing as the law of averages. You attract 100 million new fans to Formula 1 over the last few years. I'm just plucking a number out of the air. But the interest in Formula 1 has grown exponentially over the last not even 10 years since Liberty Media took over. You attract hundreds of millions of new fans to the sport. And even if 0.01% of these people are idiots, trolls, whatever you want to call cowards, right? That's still thousands of people. That's still hundreds of people. That's a lot of people. And it only takes a few dozen of those or so to be wailing on people online in the comments for it to feel overwhelming. It really, really does get to you if you see that sort of stuff. I stay away from it best I can, but even then, I see a small amount of it, and that's more than enough. So I can't imagine what these guys are feeling. Like some of the stuff you see in some of Hamilton and Verstappen's comments are just downright horrible. Really, really is. And we've seen it with Tsunoda and Doan. Anyway, I could talk about this all day, guys. It's cyberbullying. That's what it is. Cyberbullying. That's what it is. Cyberbullying, abuse online. It's got to stop, but I don't see how it will. I really don't. And as more fans keep joining Formula 1, fans in this case, you're going to get more idiots like this. They've always been around. It's just a lot more of them now. But yeah, your thoughts in the comments below, as always, guys, are appreciated on this. What can be done? What should be done? Quite an emotional one here from Robert Kubica. Of course, Kubica, the former driver for BMW, Renault and Williams in Formula 1, and a current endurance racer for Ferrari over in the World Endurance Championship, winning Le Mans for the first time in his career the other week as well. The guy is very much riding a high, and he joined Fernando Alonso as only the second man to win a Formula 1 Grand Prix and the prestigious 24-hour race in France. And for you guys that are old enough, for you guys that are my age or older, you'll remember how good Robert Kubica was back in the day. He was an incredible driver in Formula 1. And genuinely, for my money, could have been a world champion had the cards fallen right. Without a doubt, a multiple race winner. He only won one in 2008, of course. But let's have a look at what he's been saying here, because apparently some people at the time, when he made his comeback for Williams in 2019, I think it was, they were just labelling this as a PR stunt. Some people were saying this was all about marketing, trying to boost sales. You know, he's not actually good enough to drive a Formula 1 car, which must have really hurt the guy. And that's pretty much what he said here. But let me just go into it here for you guys on the F1chronicle.com as always. Robert Kubica has spoken candidly about the emotional toll of being dismissed as a PR muppet during his Formula 1 comeback with Williams in 2019, revealing how such comments caused personal pain despite his determination to compete at the highest level. Kubica returned to the spotlight earlier this month with a standout victory at the 24 Hour of Le Mans, driving a Ferrari 499P hypercar alongside Phil Hansen and Yi-Fei Ye. Speaking to the BBC, Kubica said, "I don't think my limitations are limiting me behind the wheel. I think if someone had doubts in the past, I showed them those doubts should not be in place. I'm driving and I'm happy. I remember when I was rejoining F1, there was a lot of rumours, and I understand, you see, the condition of my right hand. It's normal to ask questions if I'm capable, if it's safe. And there were some very extreme quotes from some people which hurt me, because I'm the first one who would never like to just be at the back just for marketing or being a PR muppet." Kubica returned to Formula 1 with Williams in 2019 after missing out on a seat the year before. While his campaign was difficult, scoring just 1 point and being outqualified by teammate George Russell at every race, Kubica stressed that racing remained deeply important to him. "I have serious limitations in my right arm, but I don't remember how I was driving before. This is how I am now. It's probably one of the biggest successes of my life. At one period of my recovery, driving was my best medicine. I can see someone watching my hand, which is normal, but in the end, when I'm driving, I'm fully in myself. Honestly, I have bigger limitations in daily life than in racing cars." Kubica, whose sole victory at the 2008 Canadian Grand Prix with BMW Sauber, made 2 additional Grand Prix starts for Alfa Romeo in 2021, but officially stepped away from F1 in 2022. He admitted that thoughts of retirement surfaced soon after. "I asked myself 3 years ago, I was thinking I should stop. But I'm the most lucky person around the world. I have a holiday all year because I'm doing something I like. For me, racing is everything. Everything I do in daily life is to prepare for the racetrack. I don't know what else I would do. Stopping is a big decision and a scary one. The passion is still there. The fire is still there. My main engine pushing me is my passion." Good for you, Robert. Honestly, good for you. I was so happy to see that he won Le Mans this year. I think you couldn't get a nicer guy. You couldn't get a guy who deserves it more than Robert Kubica for everything he's been through. And yeah, there were a lot of people doubting whether he was fit enough, whether he was able to do it. He was kind of in and around Renault and Williams for a few years. He tested the Renault. I remember back then there were big rumours he was going to actually make a second debut, as it were, a comeback for Formula 1 after all those years away. And the fact that he got there was incredible. That if you've never seen his right arm, it's not fully dexterous, or it's not as useful as most people's are. He's effectively a bit impaired with that, and that's really, really crucial when it comes to driving cars at these speeds, and in particular in Formula 1, where the drivers are so kind of squeezed in there. There's not much room, there's not much elbow room around, you know. Frederic Vasseur was saying when he was making those 2 off appearances, the first of those at the Dutch Grand Prix, that he could barely get the car rotated around in the pit lane because it was so tight, and because he doesn't have the same range of motion as what most able-bodied people do when it comes to their arms. So, you know, the fact that he got there was incredible. And again, a lot of people were writing him off, saying he was a donkey, like, why have they brought this guy back? But you got to remember, the fact that he got there was incredible. That is more admirable and more impressive than the fact he got to Formula 1 in the first place. The fact he got there after his injury, I think, is even more admirable. Yes, he was not the fastest. Yes, he was not the quickest. But he was also going up against George Russell in the same car. Yes, admittedly, a rookie George Russell. But he was coming into Formula 1 after nearly 10 years out of the sport. 9 years. From his last start in 2010 to his first start back in 2019. 8.5, 9 years. That's a long time. We talk about people taking breaks like Daniel Ricciardo. He's never going to come back to Formula 1 now. He's out of it. It's hard to get back in again. Kubica did it though. Kubica did it. And racing endurance races, even though it's much longer in the car, is a lot better for him because it's a regular car. You've got a lot more room to kind of maneuver around and stuff, so it is easy for him to do that. It does suit him more than what F1 does, and clearly he's still quick. Even all these years later, even at the age of 40, he's still fast. He's won Le Mans. So my hat, if I had a hat, I would take it off to you, sir. You're absolutely amazing. I love Kubica. Very much a what-if scenario in Formula 1. If Kubica never had his rallying crash in 2011, going to Ferrari in 2012, it could have happened. Him and Alonso in the same car. Scary prospect. Really, really would have been. That could have won Ferrari a Constructors' World title, I think. Genuinely. That could have made the difference. But your thoughts in the comments below, guys. How impressive was it that Kubica came back into F1, or is he overrated? Where do you sit on this? Let us know in the comments below. Upgrades, development, it's all meant to make your car better, but in some cases it doesn't always work. It might make the car faster in a more literal sense, but it might not suit the driving style of your driver. They may find the car more difficult to drive. Nothing is ever perfect when it comes to this. Now, McLaren are bringing some big upgrades to the Austrian Grand Prix this weekend, and if you believe the reports, this is going to be their final upgrade package of the season, or at least their final major one anyway, as we head back to Europe for this last leg of the European season before going again for the flyaways in the latter half of the campaign. Of course, we've got 2026 on the horizon, and McLaren don't want to lose their advantage heading into the new regulations next year. You've also got the budget cap to think about too. Now, Oscar Piastri reportedly might be able to go against the new suspension for their McLaren, which they're going to be testing in free practice. But if he doesn't like it, he doesn't have to have it. Let's have a look here, guys. We don't want to have a not bad for a number 2 driver situation going on here now, do we? Mark Webber, of course, being his manager. But if he opts against it, really, he's only got himself to blame if it's actually quicker. Well, I'll explain all here, guys, on the F1Chronicle.com as always. Lando Norris may have crashed out of the Canadian Grand Prix by rear-ending his championship-leading teammate, but the British driver could get back in the game from Austria this weekend. Oscar Piastri, who is now 22 points ahead of his sister McLaren driver, has been more comfortable in the 2025 car so far, while Norris has been complaining about feeling uncomfortable with the handling. According to Germany's Automotor und Sport, McLaren listened to Norris. The new front ring suspension is designed to give our drivers more feel, team boss Andrea Stella said in Montreal. We've made minor changes to the geometry, nothing dramatic. The German publication claims that Piastri could have used the new geometry if he wanted to in Canada, but only Norris had it fitted to his orange car. Oh, I've been told actually it's not orange, guys. I've been told by a few McLaren fans, a few radical McLaren fans, my own people. I'm a McLaren fan too, guys. Don't call it orange. It's papaya. It's definitely not orange. It's 100% not orange. It is definitely papaya. Okay, mate. If you're in the comments again, I hear you. It's papaya. F1Chronicle.com issues a full and unreserved apology to you and the McLaren Formula 1 team. Stella, however, says that the jury is still out about the new suspension. The changes are so minimal that it's difficult for the drivers to determine their effect, said the Italian. That's only possible once we've done back-to-back comparisons. Good old A to B testing, a classic. That will happen this weekend in Austria. But Stella said of Norris's use of the new parts in Canada, there were no negative surprises with Lando. He felt comfortable with it. Compared to Oscar, Lando was competitive from the start. For us, that means the experiment with the front suspension was a success for him, he added. Piastri will try the new suspension during practice at the Red Bull Ring, but he might have to revert to the old layout for the rest of the weekend. They could continue to use different suspensions, Stella confirmed. It's up to the drivers to decide what specification they feel more comfortable with. So you might think, going off of that headline, that, you know, the new part is only available for Lando Norris and Oscar Piastri is getting left out, just like Mark Webber at Silverstone in 2010, 2011, I think it was one of them years, you know, they're not so bad for a number 2 driver, mate, thing, you know, which it was, you know, he wasn't too bad for a number 2 driver. But yeah, we're not going to get a situation like that, of course, where there's a lot of animosity between Lando Norris and Oscar Piastri. You know, at the end of the day, every every driver has different driving styles. Every driver has preferences. Oscar Piastri is clearly very comfortable in that McLaren. So if he feels better with the old suspension, they'll probably keep running it. It could be a thing where it suits the Austrian circuit more than the Silverstone. You know, the drivers and teams do make changes to their cars every single weekend. You don't run the same wing angles as you do in Singapore as you do for Monza, with very good reason, of course. So it's not a surprise really that it's going to potentially not be better, because Lando Norris is clearly struggling at times with the car relative to Oscar Piastri anyway. Piastri though, no problem, mate. All good. So, guys, let me know what you think in the comments below. Who's winning this weekend? Lando, Oscar, somebody else? My money's on Oscar Piastri personally, but we'll see what happens. Oh, man, honestly, Alpine. It just gets even worse. I've kind of swept under the rug a little bit, but I did see the announcement that Luca De Meo, who is now the former CEO of the Renault organization, has resigned. He's gone. Unbelievable stuff. Luca De Meo was recently saying that Alpine has no intention, or I should say Renault has no intention of withdrawing Alpine from Formula One. They have no intention of selling that organization. Maybe that did rub some people up the wrong way. Maybe Renault are looking to leave F1. But let's not talk about the conspiracy theories just yet. We'll get into that. But let's talk about Pierre Gasly here, because he is very much a linchpin, a catalyst, a key part of Alpine. Without Gasly, Alpine are really, truly the worst team on the Formula One grid. And even with him, they very much are one of, for sure. There is no doubt about that, you know. He's clearly the man that Alpine want to build around when it comes to their team. You know, he's French. He's proven that he's a fantastic driver. For me, he's one of the most underrated drivers on the grid. I really, really do rate him very highly. But this kind of instability behind the scenes, this could well cause Gasly to want to leave Alpine. Honestly, I'm surprised he stuck around for as long as he had. Maybe he has some kind of hope that he'll be able to drag them to a championship one day. But right now, they are sinking like a stone. And even with Gasly's incredible performances so far this season, they are dead last in the Constructors' Championship. But anyway, let's see what he said here, guys, because he was, I can imagine he's very much questioning his future after this lack of leadership, really, when it comes to the Renault organisation. Here we go, guys. Let's dive into it on the F1Chronicle.com as always. Pierre Gasly says he followed through on contacting management after expressing concerns about the shock departure of Renault CEO Luca De Meo. De Meo, who is heading to the parent company of Italian fashion house Gucci, not only brought in Flavio Briatore as his personal executive advisor, but was also the architect of the entire Alpine strategy in Formula One. Maybe that's why he's gone, because it's not working. Gasly, leading the Enstone-based team from the cockpit, said of De Meo as he departed Montreal recently, "He's the one who brought me into the team. I need to sit down with management to discuss and find out what this means for the team." Briatore's first reaction to the De Meo news was that it changes nothing about the team. Are you sure, Flavio? You can usually tell that Flavio Briatore is lying when his lips are moving. I've said that many times, but it's true. But Gasly said in Austria he followed through with his intention to find out for himself. "It's something that was important to me," he is quoted as saying by France's L'Equipe. "I've spoken to everyone on the phone, namely Luca and other people involved in the management level. I needed confirmation regarding the project I've been involved in since joining Alpine. These are normal conversations given the situation, but there are no concerns about what comes next." I mean, could his departure from Alpine be coming next? I think it's possible. When pressured further to divulge the details of his conversation, the 29-year-old added, "I have the necessary answers, but you can understand that it's nothing I can make public. I will let the team go into more detail. For me, it was personally important to have these conversations. They were very clear, and everything is very clear in my head. That's the most important thing." I mean, again, you can interpret that as him having confidence in the Alpine Formula One organisation, or you could also interpret it as saying, well, I'm decided now. I'm going out of here. I'm leaving. Where will he go? Not sure. But honestly, I won't rule it out at this stage. I really, really wouldn't. I will let the team go into more detail. The Frenchman acknowledges that the recent and ongoing unrest is subject of a conversation up and down the corridors of the Enstone and in the pit garage. At Enstone, some people are asking questions, and that's legitimate, said Gasly, but Flavio has already given answers and everyone knows where they stand. It doesn't change anything about the work to be done or the evolution of the team. On track, Alpine is enduring another difficult season, but Gasly said a major priority is the team's work on the 26 project, including the switch to customer Mercedes power and gearboxes. We should be much more competitive, he said when asked about 26. It'd be hard to be less competitive, Gasly. You're bottom of the Constructors' Championship. I'm closely following the development of the car, and for the moment, we are happy in what we are doing. We don't know where the others are, but we have a vague idea of what we think is acceptable, and for the moment, we're holding course. There are 6 months to develop. There are 6 months of development left. I hope that our difficult sporting situation and this 10th place in the championship will give us an advantage in terms of wind tunnel hours, and we can use this advantage as best as possible to arrive in the first 26 tests with a car that should be in a good window. Testing of the 26 cars is reportedly scheduled to begin in January. Wow, that's actually really early. Makes sense though, big regulation change, so you want more testing time. Finally, Gasly was asked about teammate Franco Colapinto's struggles since replacing his axed fellow rookie Jack Doohan. First, you're celebrated, then you're criticised, Gasly told Kronen Zeitung. It changes very quickly. Franco seems mature and focused on the essentials. We have a good relationship. I don't doubt it. And I don't think there's much doubt around Colapinto being replaced after this race. His 5-race deal is up, but Briatore's come out in the media and basically said, that's not true. He's going to have a contract for the rest of the season. It's decided, and I believe that, given the sponsorship he has and, the results on the track of him in the best. But I think coming in mid-season into a team is very difficult. I know he did really well for Williams, but he was being compared to Logan Sargent. Jack Doohan is definitely better than Logan Sargent in a Formula 1 car. So, yeah, your thoughts in the comments below, guys. Alpine, Renault in Formula 1. Are their days numbered? Again, I wouldn't rule it out, but who the hell is going to buy that team now? Andretti's coming in, Cadillac's coming in as their own outfit. So who's wanting to come in and buy a Formula 1 team? Toyota, maybe? They're wanting to get more presence in the sport. They're doing their Haas thing, but maybe they'll take over Haas instead. I would probably do that. I think that'd be a better option, to be honest. But yeah, guys, get your thoughts in the comments below. Like, share, comment, subscribe as always if you want to see more like this. And have a fantastic time wherever you're in the world today. And we'll see you very soon.